Stand up, fight back!
Stand up,
Stand up, fight back!
I can't hear you!
Stand up, fight back!
Stand up, fight back! You lied to me! Prison isn't therapy! No, cats! You lied to me! Prison isn't therapy! Cats! You lied to me! Prison isn't therapy!
Okay, so here's a message from Erin Romano. Having suffered abuse at the hands of those entrusted to care for her, she now awaits the court to free her. Jane's spirit has been kept up by the nationwide support and love extended to her by those who attended rallies, marches, and wrote letters. We urge the governor to intervene and secure her release so that she be provided with the support and therapy she so desperately needs. Finally, we are still searching for foster families within the state who would be willing to care for her. The legal team continues to work tirelessly and will never give up until she is free, until we are assured DCF will never use the statute again. Jane, the Mandela of the trans community, speaks for children without a voice, children locked up in adult prisons all over the country, and the plight of transgender people across the nation who demand equality. Everyone who is present at this rally should look around. There are hundreds and thousands like you who demand justice and equality. We must never give up the fight. What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Case of Jane Doe in Connecticut. I found out about it through a trans advocacy group on Facebook, so this was all kind of, it was news to me. What had happened is that Jane Doe is a 16-year-old transgender girl.
I'm going to ask you a real dumb question.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Okay. Yeah, so transgender means that Jane was born male. She, however, identifies as female, which means that from birth, she had, mannerisms of a woman, dressed as a woman, presented herself as a woman, was socialized to be female. And this is something that, just to be clear, is not a choice. This isn't really, a lifestyle decision that people make. We're told, what gender we are and what roles we're supposed to occupy in society, and that doesn't necessarily fit everybody. And being trans is, it's not, a fetish or cross-dressing or anything like that. It's, an actual legitimate feeling that, you are not the gender that you were assigned in your body. So for example, I'm trans. People told me I was a girl. I never acted like a girl. I was, always doing masculine things, and I don't identify with the female body that I was given.
And so now back to this case.
Back to this case. Jane Doe is a 16-year-old transgender girl. She was abused by family members early on in her childhood. She was also, her family also had issues with drugs, stuff like that. She was removed from her family and put into DCF care around the age of 5. And when I say DCF care, she was, kind of shuffled from home to home. While she was under the care of these different foster homes, before the age of around, I believe, 12, she was assaulted, she was sexually abused. DCF has said that, they treated her as female, which means that they referred to her by female pronouns and stuff like that. But in other senses, these DCF workers saw her as somebody that they could exploit, abuse, capitalize on. When Jane was about 12, she was sent to various, facilities under the DCF system where she was further abused by DCF workers. She was sexually assaulted by DCF workers. She was forced.
You know that for a fact?
Yes. This is all written in her affidavit, which you can find online. She outlines the whole thing. Her lawyer knows all the details of this case. She was sexually abused, assaulted by DCF workers. She was prostituted. She was exposed to a number of traumatic incidents. There was an altercation between Jane Doe and a DCF worker in Massachusetts where she was staying at a facility. The person came up behind her, grabbed her in kind of an illegal embrace. She fought back because she was triggered. having a history of trauma. This, you know, people like Jane and Jane herself are going to act out violently, you know, when they are triggered by remembering those past instances of abuse. So what happened was, she was violent. She was, you know, was violent against this worker. However, she's a youth. Many DCF youths are assaultive. They do engage in this behavior because they are traumatized. The difference is that, you know, Jane was not charged with a crime. She was simply just seen as being something that, you know, the DCF workers couldn't handle, even though they created this problem of trauma by, you know, those sexual abuse and the physical abuse. So she fought back, and it was deemed then that she was, you know, too unsafe to be kept in the same residential facility as other girls. At this point, and this is where, you know, Malloy and Katz get murky on the details to kind of, you know, keep us guessing. But it is known that Katz's next step was to attempt to place Jane in an adult male prison, where she would be exposed to people who were not her gender, and people who, you know, in prison, survival is about, you know, intimidation, assault, stuff like that. This is, you know, not to put a stigma against prisoners, but this is the way of life. This is survival in the prison system. So what happened was, Katz threatened to move her to a male prison. This was fought against by her lawyer, by Jane's lawyer. Katz then decided to put Jane in solitary confinement in a woman's prison. It's an adult prison. She hasn't been charged with a crime. She's 16 years old. Katz keeps threatening to keep her there until she's 18. Governor Malloy has moved her from one part of the York Correctional to another. He put her in a cottage, which I guess is supposed to sound nicer than prison, but it's still prison, on York Correctional. She's still being kept in solitary confinement.
You say solitary. No one is allowed
to visit her.
How does the state justify that?
They have said they haven't really. They've said, you know, oh, well, she's too dangerous to be, you know, around other people. And there's also, you know, laws against allowing juveniles to interact with the adult prison population. So they put her in an adult prison, yet they're keeping her in solitary because, I guess, you know,
What I mean, solitary.
I'm not really quite sure about why, but the point is that she's in solitary confinement. She's been there for over a month, and the state having feeling like they can't find anything to do with her, or they're not creating a place for her to thrive. They're not even giving her mental health treatment.
Especially after.
Okay, we're kind of rushed for time, so my last question is, a lot of people said in the chance, let her be free. I mean, what do you literally mean by that?
So what I literally mean is that, you know, realistically speaking, right now Jane Doe needs mental health. You know, she's suffered a lot of psychological trauma. Our demand is that she's given the actual mental health assistance that she needs. So the idea is, you know, we just want to get her out of prison. She needs a family that'll take care of her. But before that, she needs, you know, she needs help with her trauma, with her mental issues. She needs to be in a place where her gender is affirmed. If that's a mental health facility, you know, maybe that's where she needs to be. But prison is not the answer.
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
Sin justicia no hay paz! 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 Thank you, Kenneth.